Welcome everybody to the HolloTalk podcast. This is Jetpack Nick, and I'm here with a very special guest today. We have Amia, also known as 24Notes. Say what's up to the people.
Hi, how's everyone?
Hopefully everybody cool. But how you doing
Yeah,
though?
I'm doing well. I'm so grateful and blessed to be here. I feel like this is my second podcast, so I'm still new to podcasting.
Okay.
I'm very grateful for this opportunity. But my name is Amia Boone, and my artist name is 24 Notes. I'm focusing on my music career right now. I'm an engineer by trade. I've also worked on producing and singing. I don't tell a lot of people, but I write my own music, so I'm a singer-songwriter as well.
Okay.
Uh, I graduated recently from Penn State, so music is my passion in my heart, but I do have another passion, which is healthcare and just providing, access to healthcare and just overall education and just wellness. I'm a big advocate for those things as well.
Okay. Then see, you didn't beat me to the punch. I was going to ask you for the people who don't know who you are, let them know who you're about, and who you are, what you're about, and what you do. You beat me to
Child,
it.
I'll be skipping steps. Lord.
No, you all good though. You all good. So let's lean right into the music thing. So 24 notes. Where did that come from and why is that the name?
That's a great question. Down to business. So 24 notes. When I was a kid, I'm still very timid. I'm very shy. So I was like, I have this seed, like I think I want to do music. So I went to a school where like everybody knew me, but I didn't want them to know that I did music. So I'm like, I need a stage name. And I was like, my favorite number is 24 and musical notes, 24 notes. Simple. I kind of complicated it over the years. I spelled it out. So it's like TWENTY number four notes. I have my reasons for why I did that, but previously it was just like literally the number 24 notes. So I could have my own Instagram page and just post music content on one and then
Okay.
other things on my normal page. Which, if you ever try that strategy, I would not recommend it to any musicians unless you're like dedicated to one core fan base and then you have your like community of people on another app. But
Okay. Okay. So the whole music thing, where did it come from? Why did it start? What's the interest in music?
oh, that's so good. I love
Yeah,
these
yeah,
questions.
yeah, we're gonna get right to it. That's what we do on the Hollow Talk podcast.
Music for me started, I think, as a kid in the church. I think a lot
Okay.
of artists, we start in the church. I went to a Baptist church, so I was in the choir, I was praise dancing, and I guess music to me is just it's always been spiritual. And it was the way I connected with my dad because he has all these different like albums, CDs,
Shouts out
vinyl
to Pops.
at home. Yeah. Love him. That's where I got my production studio. Hopefully, God willing, when that starts, it's called Smooth Boone Productions because that's my last name.
Okay.
I want that to be part of our family legacy. So he was someone that would play like Chrisette Michelle. That was like my first love.
Mm,
She had a song that was like it was called "Is This How Love Feels?" And when I tell you to this day, that's my favorite song, and that's when it sparked. I was like, I think I need to express myself this way. Like the way she's singing about love and just like the instruments and like her voice. I was like, I don't know how to do it quite yet, but that's when the little seed was planted.
yeah,
Like,
that was the inspiration, right?
yeah, the inspiration, exactly.
Okay. Shouts out to Chris and Michelle.
No, and I don't listen to her music enough, but I'm like, she has such a big influence on that decision-making process. And I was like, ever since then, my parents bought me my first set of equipment. So
Hmm.
I feel like they first invested in me, which I'm very grateful for.
Would they
Because
buy you?
from church. They bought me my interface that I still have. It's like
Wow.
a little Cubase box. It comes in a kit. So, me not knowing anything about music, I was just like automatically like researching. I'm on YouTube. They bought me a
Hmm.
guitar, piano. I was like, I'll figure it out. So it wasn't formally educated, but like spirit-led things, just tend to
Right.
it just makes sense once you're teaching yourself how to do it.
All right, yeah, you keep mentioning spirituality, being in the church and everything. I'm just gonna make the assumption to say that faith and spirituality is something that's very, very near and dear to your heart.
It is. I don't even notice how much I mention it at times. And someone spoke over me that I was going to be a gospel singer. And I just was like, oh, that's nice. Like at that time, I didn't really believe it. But I'm like, the more have conversations with my friends, like faith, it doesn't have to be from like a Baptist church or that perspective per se. Like the church I
Hmm.
attend now, they're pretty modern. But I like to say, God is at the center of everything I do. 24 in the
Absolutely.
Bible. It's it basically means like God's work. So I believe like the work I'm doing is like being God's hands and feet on the earth. So if I lose sight of that, I'm kind of like getting off track in my head. Like I have to stay um where God wants me to be.
So, okay, so let's just lean right into the faith conversation. So, if you don't mind me asking this question, is being in music or just being in the creative arts something that is difficult to stay grounded in as far as your faith is concerned, or has the faith helped you stay grounded being in the creative arts?
This is a really good. It's a hard question. This is hard. I feel I was just having this conversation with another artist today, and he was expressing like how he was being called the GOAT, and people are like putting you on a pedestal, and it feels
Hmm.
weird. And he wrote this song called Normal Guy, which hopefully we can plug and like add once he
Yeah,
drops.
absolutely.
His name is Christopher, our same CSW for the listeners. Um, but I was really that I could relate to that because in the church we're raised on like, Lucifer was the angel of music. So it's easy to kind of get caught up in this mindset that you're higher than God or that you deserve this like type of praise or like worship. So when I was a kid, that initially sparked my interest because I'm like, I love music. To think like in heaven,
Hmm.
we're just gonna be worshiping God. I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. Like I can't wait. So I think ever since then, you meet a lot of characters in the music industry. Not to say
Hmm.
like I'm holy or above thou. Like I have my issues, and a lot of my music is about my personal experiences on earth and also like my spiritual, I guess, encounters per se.
Hmm.
But where was I headed? Yeah, basically having to stay grounded in these spaces, like I like to take pride out of the equation because that's how the devil's going to use you. And like pride comes before the fall, like that's what they say. So any way that like we can meet person to person instead of thinking like, oh, I'm the best, I'm the GOAT, I'm this, I'm this, I'm that.
Hmm.
Like, to me, that's just noise. Like you don't actually, you're not connected to anything. Like you think you're better than other people. That's how I take it. So yeah, it's hard to stay grounded. Over the years, I've met, like I said, some people that we just don't mesh. Like my spirit doesn't mesh with,
Right.
like we can't really collaborate that well if we're not on the same page.
No, I understand that. Again, me being a fellow creative too, just dealing with so many different people, people have different values and different principles and just a whole lot of different things, different ideologies. And it's kind of hard to be in a space with these people who you differ from so much sometimes, even though you still have to collaborate and have them work on your projects with you. Like I run a podcast, so I have so many different people come on, and no, I ain't gonna say not everybody thinks the same, but everybody has their different things, and I still have to be able to conduct a proper interview and be able to talk to these people and not cast any judgment or anything like that, and just keep it what it is. It's a job, right? But
Yeah, that's hard. That is
yeah,
hard.
but having people be able to express themselves, full fledged and be able to say, this is who I am, this is what I think, this is what I'm about. I also think that that's an important thing for people to express and also for other people to hear and then decide what to do with it.
I like that. And even that approach, like I'm very big on inclusivity. So like even if that perspective doesn't align with like my belief system or like how I was
Hmm.
raised, I think that's like a necessary part to us understanding the world that we live in because if I'm big on like God is love, like
Absolutely.
are just as worthy of receiving that love, like despite what you believe, despite what you may think, like it's not for me to judge per se. So I think it's challenging if to me, like music, I get very vulnerable when it comes
Hmm.
to like, music and things like that, which I assume every creative does because like it's your art,
Absolutely.
you care about it.
Hmm.
So, depending on the space, like as long as you, like you said, you feel comfortable, you feel safe, like I think those are like key signs that you're supposed to be there doing that thing, and that's
Of
like
course.
what we're all here for.
Of course, and for me and you specifically, we go to Rec Philly for the people who don't know. So Rec Philly is a place in Philadelphia where a bunch of amazing people go who are creatives, and we create a bunch of dope shit. We just
A
build a
lot of
community. It's a whole lot of things that goes on at Rec Philly, and it's just really dope, the community aspect of it. At least for me, being able to meet so many people and be able to work on different things with these people, but just to see other people doing things that you're interested in or that you do specifically, and it allows you a chance to see, yo, this shit is actually possible, or I'm not crazy being the only one in my circle that does this. Now I'm meeting all these new people who do similar things and are encouraging you to continue and to grow into who you want to become in that space. For me, that was like the most amazing thing. And for you, I think that would also be something that would really be amazing, given that you do music, you do produce, you do write songs. There's so many opportunities for you to create with so many different people in a variety of different ways. Like, look at you now. You're on the HolloTalk podcast.
Yeah. Oh, we met at a workshop. So I feel like that
Yeah.
was even better because I wasn't coming with the intention of like networking. I was really like studious that day. I'm like, I have my notes. We're for like learning. But the next thing you know, like you said, you find some other people that are just doing the same things that you want to do. I will say, like, back when I first started coming to Rec, I was still shy. I was still timid. I was like, it reminds me of Penn State, so it feels familiar, but I'm not really like, I think it was after the pandemic. I didn't feel like open to talking to people. So there was like
Right.
a wall of like different sayings that's over by the bathroom. And every day I would just find something that like my eyes would gravitate towards. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like that kept pulling me back, like, you're supposed to be here. You're supposed to be here. And then the next thing you know, I just started meeting all these wonderful people that are on the same creative journey as me. And I was like, wow, to think I almost like stayed in my shell a little bit too much, like didn't fully lean into the process and like trust that this is where you're supposed to be. This is where it's at.
Absolutely. So what was the process of you kind of coming out your shell and being in your full glory as Amia Boone?
I don't know if I'm there. People tell me all the time, they're like, you need to step into your fullness. Like in Christianity, we say like step into like your fullness, like the grace
Hmm.
that you can like really, amount to. And I challenged myself today while I'm in like Studio D to just really like sing like the room, like I was trying to fill the room.
Okay.
And it was challenging for me because I'm like, I'm so used to being at home in like a closet or like kind of doing it low key so my parents don't hear me. Like it's not really good yet. I'm not really ready to show anybody, but as I've like put out music, as I've done different shows, as I've been here at Rec, like having to sing in front of people,
Hmm.
it's kind of forced me out that show. So I don't even think it was like conscious. It was kind of like it's time for you to get outside your comfort zone. And now
So how does that feel like now that that's something that's actually taking place? Is it like a uneasy feeling? Is it something that you're excited about? How you feel?
I feel I think uneasy. I do get excited now because I see the growth happening.
Hmm.
So even the artist I was just working with, like we were freestyling, and I'm like,
You
I
was
just
rapping?
got my car. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Like I can't stress like enough, like being here and allowing yourself to just express yourself,
Hmm.
even if it's not put together. Like sometimes I can get a little too perfectionistic. Is that a word?
Is one a day.
That's one today. Okay. Just want to make sure. Yeah, so he was just going and going with
Hmm.
the flow of it. And his one thing I like when I like look for different artists to work with, like his poetry and his writing is really like a strong skill set. So I'm just kind of like, how do you do it? Like, teach me. And that just kind of opened up the opportunity for me to learn. Like, it's not really
Yeah.
something, not everybody's going to be the best at everything they start doing. So even just putting on some beats and just saying like, hey, let's try.
No,
Let's
I mean that's dope though. Just being in
try,
your creative
bro.
space. Nah, listen,
Yeah.
you want to draw some bars for the people real
Um,
quick?
I'm a little nervous.
No, yeah, you got to, you got to. No, that's dope though. Just being that you can just feel free enough to express yourself creatively in that way without feeling, like anybody's judging you or you feeling like it's trash. Like for what? Nobody, just express yourself, get it out, get those creative ideas out so you can make room for more creative ideas to come in. Maybe those might be better than the ones you just said or the ones you just thought, you know. Can't
I,
can't be too scared about, just being expressive in yourself.
I
Everybody's scared in some way. So, why would you be the one that continues on to be scared? Be out there. That's what I do kind of. Like when we go to rec, for instance, right?
Mhm.
I see so many people just standing around, and I know, like, I just know it because this is something that I've experienced. Everybody's sitting there like, yo, I want to talk to such and such. Like, they seem like a cool person, but nobody does it. So I guess you could speak to the experience too, because we was at rec together. I just walked up to a bunch of people and was like, yo, like, I'm Jetpack Nick. I'm the host of the HolloTalk podcast. I act. I'm in the music on the side. Like, this is what I do. This is who I am as a creative. And then people was interested. Oh, all right, okay. Let me see what you do. And then we became cool. So I think that's something important to do. Just feeling like you can take those steps in order to put yourself out there more or be confident in who you are as a person and who you are as a creative.
Hmm. That's beautiful. And I'm not to own on the negatives. I feel like when I come here, like everyone's bought into the process.
Mm-hmm.
Really nice, like not just financially, like they're willing to support you, but like emotionally. Like if you're doubting yourself, they're like, hey, no, you got it. Like that thing that you just did, that was
Mm-hmm.
awesome. I've experienced that type of support. I'm not gonna say that I haven't, but just being around people that are just as like vulnerable and like not scared to just like really, you know, I wouldn't just say put the work in, but just like
Mm-hmm.
put their all in it. Like that's something I really love. I really love.
Okay.
I
See.
was about to bounce back to something you said. I think you, when I met you at the in the networking space,
Mm-hmm.
I was, like I said, I wasn't really trying to like network with people that day.
Right.
So I was just kind of like, okay, like let's see where this conversation takes us. Next thing you know, we're talking about mental health. Next thing you know, we're talking about
Right.
relationships. Next thing you know, we're talking about music. I was like, okay, it's not that hard. Like it's really not that hard. I think sometimes I put too much of an emphasis. Like we're just people, you
Yeah, for
know,
sure.
like do what we're here to do.
See, when you put it like that, it's funny now because I'm like, damn, I messed up her mojo. She wasn't even trying to talk to nobody. And I
No, no,
was.
I was really like, because I had a lot to do that day, and I know myself, like, as soon as I get into something, I'll like lose track of time.
Mm,
And then that's how you know I love being here. But I actually had a studio session that night. So I'm like, okay, I got to be mindful that someone's going to call me. I have to like coordinate this. I have to leave. And
mm.
then I was trying to convince that person to stay, and I did. Shout out to Jamel, love him. But we were definitely supposed to be connecting soon. So it wasn't you. It was actually me just trying to like make sure I'm leaving on time because
Oh, all
I'm supposed to leave here today at 5. It is now 7.
right.
The proof is in the
See,
pudding.
again, it's me. It's me, people.
It's
It's
not.
me. It's me.
I lose track of time. I'm telling you, I be having too much fun. Way too much fun.
No, I mean, like, but again, though, that's just like one of them things that I just like to highlight, especially when we talk about just the whole community building thing and you leaning into who you are as a person and who you are as a creative. Like, you couldn't be in that room and not feel the energy that was it was strong. Like the energy was really strong that night. Like it was so many different creatives and so many different amazing people. Like you couldn't hug the wall that night. You couldn't.
Oh, you
There wasn't
cannot.
no space to hug the
Oh.
wall for one.
Yikes. I was trying to find a seat. That's all I can remember. I was like, I need to sit down. There's too many heads.
Oh yeah, after a while, because I was there for the whole time, like from the beginning to the end, literally. So by the time the award ceremony came, I was checked out. It's because you had walked over to me and I was sitting there by myself. I'm like, damn, like I'm happy to see a familiar face. I didn't seen all these goddamn new faces. Like it's too much.
Much, but I love it. And I think there was one thing you mentioned, which I hope I can like hop back to, but as far as expressing yourself
Mhm.
and just like giving yourself permission to do that, I had to go to therapy to even like have that
Let's get right
thought
into it.
come to me. And I like that we talked about therapy when we first met.
Hmm.
It was like I can't remember the way my therapist said it, but like your expression of who you are, that's like the love that you have. Like that's what's going to be left here once you leave this earth.
For sure.
So I didn't give myself permission to do that until recently. And I still think I'm figuring it out what that looks like. And I like that Will Toms gives creatives like a framework
Shouts
to
out to Will.
see it.
It's my
Shout out
guy.
to Will.
It's
You
my
doing?
guy. Oh yeah, yeah. But let me see. So, oh, I told you this too the day we met. I told you every time I get on the podcast, no matter what the conversation is, it always finds its way to come back to mental health and therapy conversations. So since you brought it up, let's just lean into it.
Go.
Okay, so and please feel free to ask me questions too if you have any. So the first question I have for you when it comes to therapy is your process in therapy. Like, was it something that you knew you would be okay with doing, or was it like a challenge for you to be like, damn, like I need therapy? Like, weak people do therapy. Like, what was it one of those things, or you was like, yo, all right, I'm excited to do this?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. Okay. I'll be transparent because that's
Okay,
what I signed up for.
all right,
When I was 19 in college, I dropped out of school. I was in a really toxic relationship. Um, I was connecting with people at school, but I felt like really detached. Like nothing was really like clicking in class. Nothing was really clicking. Like I was a student athlete at this time. So I'm trying to like remember. I think it was my junior year I dropped out because I was like mentally, I'm just not here.
right.
And I don't think I had the language to articulate that. It was just like you're going through life
Mm-hmm.
and stuff is just happening. I had an abortion at 19 too. This is kind of like icing on the
Wow.
cake, but like that's just, if we're being honest, that's what happened. So I'm like, that was like a hard mental and emotional hit. So like as I go back home, I'm like, okay, if I were to get back on my feet, like what's the next step? So it's kind of like you should go talk to someone. Like you should go to therapy. You should really like get to the root of these issues. Cause at the time I'm not close with my parents. I'm not around my friends anymore. I'm not in high school. My passions aren't singing to me like they used to. Like nothing's really giving me life at this point. So that was my first introduction to therapy. And I went for a few sessions to say I checked the box. Like, okay, you
Mm-hmm.
did it. You know, my therapist, love her. She was white. She was a white woman. So I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think she fully understands me as a person. So then I kind of gave myself an excuse to kind of drop out the process. I was like, this
Gotcha.
is for me. It's not really working. That's what I told myself at least.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always something that triggers me to go back, and it happens to just be relationships. So after my last
That's usually what sends people to therapy relationships,
yeah,
man.
in the world, am I tripping? Are you tripping? And I'm like, all right, let me actually, because I want to work on this. Like, if
For
it's not
sure.
gonna work as us being together, like I actually want to improve my mindset. And I also had unfortunately someone else that was close to me pass away. So it
Oh
was kind
wow.
of like timing wise, I was like, I think I'm grieving like really bad. I think
Mm-hmm.
I am depressed and just not okay with saying that word. And I also feel like my family is a little dysfunctional and no one likes to say that word either. Cause
That's true.
then you have to bring up other people's trauma and you bring them into the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It's really shaky. So that's where faith, jumping in again. I think we talked about like being a generational curse breaker. Like you just
Yes.
gotta keep going with the process because it's gonna work itself out. So that's when I found a therapist and I love him. He's
Shouts out to the therapist.
I know, shout out to Dan. Dan is like Dan the man. And I work in healthcare, so I'm like
Right, right.
skirt through the system. If it's hard for you to navigate, that's something else. Like I gave myself an excuse was like it's financially like a lot of money if you
Mm-hmm.
have to pay out of pocket costs. If you don't find someone that you really like or who's speaking to you, that can also be like a barrier, like not like a
Yeah.
motivator to go. So I literally didn't give myself an excuse. I was like, you just need somebody to hear you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we started. I think since that journey started, it's been a lot more progressive because I actually show up wanting to like, let's do this work.
Right.
If this isn't working, like you tell me, and we had to, go over boundaries again. I think that was a big thing I had to establish with my family. That's also been helpful as far as like my music. That's been inspiring the things I want to talk about or just like open up more. Because I know it's not easy. Like we just went through a pandemic. Like
Mm-hmm.
if not for me, it's for somebody else to like kind of hear that things
Of
do get
course.
better with time. So I like to focus on mental health and just how much I'm not gonna say it saved me, the Lord saved me, but it definitely has changed my perspective on a lot of things.
I mean, so no, go ahead, go ahead.
So no, I'm listening. I'm here.
No, so I was just gonna say like just listening to you say some of these things, because these were some things that I didn't know, even though we've had like, previous conversations before. Um, Thank you for sharing these things, by the way. And I hope you don't feel like I'm forcing you to say anything or
Oh,
anything like that.
hmm.
But yeah, like just thinking, like hearing that and hearing some of the things that you went through and why you would have went into therapy, it just kind of gives me a little bit more perspective on just the whole concept of therapy and what it can do for other people. Because obviously, the HolloTalk podcast listeners know I was also in therapy too. This is something I champion very, very much. No matter what the conversation is, we're going to talk about therapy.
I feel like it needs to be a staple. Like you
For
go to the
sure.
doctor annually. I think you'd want to check on your mind
Yeah,
at least
absolutely.
weekly.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean that's a whole part of the process of being healthy, physical health and mental health. I
yeah.
mean, it's definitely something that I think people should lean into a lot more and not really run with the stigma that comes with being in therapy, which mean would the people say that you're weak for being in therapy or you're weird for being in therapy or you're not tough enough and all of this bullshit that they've made up to, make people stay sick, if you will. And I'm using my platform to shed light to, go to therapy, bro. Like it's okay. It's cool. Shit, I did it. And, I'm pretty happy, I think.
No, for real. And my not to cut you off, my
You
dad,
good, you good.
he's someone that was like, I don't he's evolved.
Mm-hmm.
He did not believe in therapy, I think from his upbringing and like what
Right.
he experienced, having like financial insecurities, like food insecurities at time. Like he doesn't open up about those things. And I assume
Mm-hmm.
because it is triggering, like to have to go through all of your life struggles again and again. So like
Yeah.
him even bringing up therapy, he's like, well, I gotta go to therapy,
Hmm.
like I'm fine. And it's like, you're fine, but like, are you the best version of you right now? Like
Right.
showing up in every full capacity, like the way you can, the way I know you can. So I think that was challenging. And he's also a police officer. So it was like a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
like I know you got a lot of negative experiences
Mm-hmm.
that like are holding you down. Like, so I would only hope if you're not telling your family, like your closest unit, you can confide in someone else about these things that are troubling you.
Oh, for sure. I mean, because like I said, like when I did it, it was something that I was interested in because like I've told this story on the podcast before, but I'll tell it again. So my whole process with therapy was I went I would walk past his office every day and the door was always closed. And then the one day I walked past it was open. So, I peeked my head in. What you doing here, man? And he was like, "Yeah, this is the therapy office." I'm like, okay. So I sat down, we just talked. And, he's asking me questions and, just trying to figure out why I was in there. I'm like, shit, I don't know why I'm in here. Your door was just open. And I'm here.
You're supposed to be there. That's
you know,
cool.
but it was cool though because it wasn't like I think that interaction made it easier for me to be like accepting to wanting to go back again. It wasn't like, somebody was like, there's something wrong with you. Like, you need to go to therapy. It just happened to be like a thing that just happened. Peek my head in there, make a couple of jokes, and next thing you know, I'm signing the paper at the end of the thing. Like, yes, I'm coming back, 2 days a week now. Because I just like talking to you. But like that experience for me was really, really good, I think, because it just allowed me a chance to slow down a little bit. Um, Being in college, for me, it didn't really make sense to lean on people who were going through the exact same things that I was going through at the same time. Because how can I give somebody advice when I'm going through the exact same thing and I'm trying to figure out how to get through it myself? So
Mm,
I just thought that was very like counterproductive to lean on my friends or whatever. So being that I would, go out my way to talk to professors or talk to just the adults that were on campus, they provided me with a perspective that I didn't get to quite just yet because I was 19, 20, 21. They were, 30s, 40s, 50s, so on and so forth, families and had so much more life experience than I did at that point. But they also lived through some of the things that I was going through currently. And they had a like a how you want to say like a guide, if you will, to say this is what it looks like, this is what you need to look out for, and this is what you need to do in order to get to the next level. And I
mm,
think that that was very, very helpful for me to not only get through college, but get out of college with a sane mindset, if you will, and also be able to lean into who I was becoming after I stepped off that campus and into what they like to call the real world.
Mhm. The real world.
Yeah.
This is tricky, tricky, tricky. I like that you said you were keenly aware enough to ask people who had wisdom or at least
Hmm.
wise counsel because they're giving you like the path forward instead of going to people that are running into the same obstacles as you.
Exactly.
Because I tend to overdo that. And then I'll fall into the trap of like complaining about it. We're both sitting here with the same problem, looking at each
Hmm.
other. And it's just like, why don't we ask someone who might have the answer instead of saying that like this is the only way? Because
Hmm.
most likely not, that's not the case. So that I didn't learn that lesson until after I hit my head in college. So once you do know that though, I think I value especially like my mom's wisdom, like my
Hmm.
parents' wisdom, because it got me thus far. So I feel like at a certain point in time, like once you're maybe like a teenager, you turn it off, like, oh,
Of course.
I don't know better. Like I know better. But then you meet some trusted adults, hopefully like on campus, or I've recently in my career, my mentor has been like the most like valuable person in my life because it's
Shouts
like
out to the mentor.
love her. Shout out to her. I don't know if I can name drop her for
No, it's cool. Don't even
I
worry
know
about it.
her.
Just shouts out to the mentor.
Shout out to her. Um, but yeah, I'm very grateful that even my manager at times, like I'll be thinking one thing and he's
Hmm.
just kind of like giving me the blueprint for like, thinking bigger about like solutions or just like other ways to approach the projects we're working on.
Hmm.
Helpful.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just being able to kind of take a step back and listen to other people talk about a similar experience that I went through, being in therapy, like is always amazing to hear what the results was from their time being in therapy or their time in therapy currently, you
Mm.
know, because you definitely don't walk in therapy the same way you walk out.
And if you are, you ain't therapizing you.
It's no growth happening. And although most of my time in therapy, I was the one asking my therapist questions.
Which I think that's a way to deflect. That's why I said that's a thing in and of itself because I started doing the same thing. My therapist is like asked me a
Mhm.
question. I'm like, let's talk about you instead.
Right, right.
But that's just something I had to, kind of get over. Like I'm not used to talking about myself. Like even when we're
Hmm.
on this podcast, I'm like, okay, this is my time to like shine and
Yeah.
be. I was just kind of like, oh, I'm gonna ask you questions instead.
Hmm.
Like that's my default. Even in music, I'm like, let's focus on your projects instead. Like giving myself the space to just be and like kind of
Yeah.
go through like what I'm going through. I feel like it's important.
It's definitely nothing wrong with that too, because again, like you said, it just gives you space and it gives you space to think. It gives you space to observe, just to kind of see what's happening around you. Because when you're in it, it's hard to see what's happening around you because
Mhm.
you're not looking left or right. You're looking straight.
These bars, I be getting tunnel vision.
Listen, I'm reaching into the
Bars.
bag for these ones. No, but this is just like things that I've learned, like talking to people like on this platform, or just going out to these different events and just speaking to people about what their process is and just the life experiences that they've had that led them up to the points that they're at currently or that they're approaching. And you learn a lot when you take the time out to talk to people and figure out what their thought process is instead of just sitting back and assuming, oh, this person looks like such and such, so they obviously must be like such and such. Like, that's not the case. Like, I'm pretty sure people look at me and have this preconceived perception of what Nick is. And if you don't take time out to talk to me, you won't know how multi-layered I am when it comes to just my life experiences, the things I know, the people I know, the places I've been to, the things that I think, all types of shit. But that's why we on the podcast, so you can ask me questions and I can tell you.
No, that was no deal. I'm like, who is Nick? Like, it's Nick. I've only met you. I think we've met in person once.
Hmm.
We talked now on the phone twice.
Yes.
When you're looking back on your story and like where you have been to like where you are now, like what are some of the highlights? What are some of the things you
Hmm.
love?
All right, so I only got like 2 minutes to answer this question. So I'm gonna give you a little summary
Season
on
five
that, and then we're
starter,
gonna take a
yeah.
break. So like some of the highlights is just me being able to feel comfortable in rooms that I didn't normally think I would be comfortable in, and being able to thrive and be a light in those rooms. You know, when I walk in a room, I feel like people can kind of get a sense of, yo, this kid right here, or this guy, or whatever the term is that they want to use. Like he's dope. I like his energy. I like it's something about his aura. Like I think that's something that is a real highlight to see that actually comes to fruition instead of thinking like, people might not understand me. Not even giving myself an opportunity to allow them to understand me. And once I did, they was like, yeah, I like this. I like this motherfucker. He nice. Like, but that's probably like the major highlight, I think. I would say. And like I said, we going, take a little break in a second. So I definitely got some more for you. But for right now, ladies and gentlemen, that's the highlight.
No, one. No, I'm just playing.
No, I'm gonna give them some more. So with that being said, why don't we just take the break now? So we're just gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back with more of the HolloTalk podcast in a few minutes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the HolloTalk podcast with Jetpack Nick and Miss Amia Boone.
Hi, y'all.
So before we had to take our little, breaky break or whatever, Amia was asking me, Amia was asking me about like, some of the highlights of my life when it came to, just some of the things that I've experienced. And I let y'all know the first one. So, go back and listen to that when you get a chance. But to continue on, I think um allow myself an opportunity to experience community also has been a really, really big highlight for me. Um, I didn't think that I would really be open to talking to so many people like I have, or being as transparent as I've been, because I'm pretty like, I'm like I'm a mystery, if you will. So coming on here each and every time, like, I always, allow the guests to ask me questions as I'm asking them, so like again, like I said, feel free to ask me anything. But being that I'm able to do that on a public platform, or even in the, privacy of wherever we're at, I think that's amazing for me to get a chance to hear myself talk about myself instead of just sitting with my thoughts and, just going through an internal process. I'm able to push it out and be like, this doesn't make sense, or this actually does make sense, or I never thought about my life going in this direction before until I just said it out loud.
Mhm.
So being that I'm able to do that with a community that I trust has been a really, really important highlight for me as well.
Are you when you say community, your Hollow Talk podcast platform, like how do you usually engage with the people that are listening?
So so generally I talk to a lot of people through DM, or like I'll talk to them through email or any
Mm.
other platform. But the thing that I really like is when I have conversations with people and they've listened to the episode, and then they tell me like, "Yo, I was listening to the episode and I had to like pause that shit because I had to like say my own piece about what's going on in the conversation." Like they're a part of the conversation, which is what I want to be the reaction of whoever's listening to a HolloTalk podcast, feeling like they're involved and they're included in the conversations I'm having with the specific guests that I have on that specific episode.
Hmm. I like that. Do you feel like the reactions, like, do they inspire new episodes, or are they like a way for you to like build a relationship with the people that that are listening? Because I've never.
Both. Sometimes when I have these conversations with people, it provides me an opportunity to gain a perspective on what they're going through or things that they're thinking or just their opinions on anything. So, like for instance, we're going to lean into the music conversation. I argue about music almost every day.
It's above me. You say almost every day.
Yeah, I argue about music or sports almost every day in some kind of capacity. So when I listen to people talk about, why this artist is better than this artist or why they like this song and this album more or this player more than that player, I'm like, all right, let's have a detailed conversation on why you think this. Because a lot of people have opinions about conversations and don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
That was my next question. I'm like, are you pulling up with opinions or logic? Like this sounds like straight logic. Like, let me run you
Yeah.
why.
Yeah, like it's
Wrong.
I mean, so well, most of my like opinions on music or sports, like they're not so far off that it's like, what the heck is he talking about?
Like, right.
It's not so far off, but like I don't necessarily go with the popular choice in any of the things that I talk about when it comes to music or sport.
Okay. So when you think about music, I'm very much on like open to interpretation. So like your favorite might not be my favorite
Mm-hmm.
for different reasons. What's the category? Like how are you ranking them? Like,
It depends on what we're talking about.
well, you chunk it for me. Like what genre do you listen to and how are you gonna rank them based on like
I
the
listen to
criteria?
almost everything. But my main ones though, I listen to hip hop, R&B, jazz music, soul music, alternative. Uh yeah. All right, okay. So like I'll ask you this. I'll ask you this. What's your favorite genre of music? And then we could talk about it from there.
I like jazz. I like R&B, soul. Favorite genre though, like
Mm-hmm.
genre. Let's do jazz.
Okay. All right.
I
All
don't even know
right.
if I like listen to genres now that I think about it. I'm so
Okay.
anti-genre. I'm like, think outside the box. Genres are just an experience. Like I can relate to being a little different
For
culturally.
sure.
I think you can travel across genres, but to keep it simple. So let's do R&B.
Okay. All right. Okay. So what's your question? What's your R&B question for me?
Okay. If you're going to not versus, but if we're gonna the king of R&B, who takes the crown?
uh like all time or like
We could do all time. Like they'd reign supreme.
Bobby Brown.
Hmm.
Yeah, like is Bobby Brown for sure. For me.
I was expecting, but I'd like
But
to hear the
what?
rationale.
What was you expecting?
For my categories, I'm like, okay, I've heard of Chris Brown, I've heard of Usher, I've heard of
Hmm.
Michael, I've heard of like, the
So
top.
so the
But
reason
Bobby Brown
Michael
is
Jackson
valid.
Michael
I'm saying,
Jackson is not in like this category for me. Like he's like
okay,
he's just, like
top.
I don't even know how to explain Mike. Like he's just like number one for real. But dude, that's a conversation for another time if you want to get into that too.
Number
But
one for real. Where we put Michael.
because I argue with people about the Michael Jackson thing too because I'm a Prince fan. You know that.
I do
I'm a
that.
Prince fan, so Prince to me is like just the best musician of all time. But yeah, Bobby Brown's the king of R&B for me because it's like I don't even know how to explain it. Like not only did he do it before all the newer guys, the Ushers and the Chris Browns and all those, but it just for me it just stands the test of time a lot more than the rest of their projects. Like the only person that's comparable to Bobby Brown when it comes to the King of R&B is Usher for me, but I got to go with Bobby Brown.
A Bobby Brown.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Favorite Bobby Brown song. Go. That sounds like I'm going put you on. I'm like over here brain.
uh,
The gold standard is there though. I will say that. Anything from Motown era is
hmm, what's my favorite Bobby Brown song? It depends on the day for real. Like it do because sometimes I would like the songs where like he's like more like on his singy type of like real typical R&B type of vibe. But then I would like the upbeat joints where he doing the dance moves and all that. Like so, I don't know.
What's
I
that song? I feel
I'll
like
just say
you have
Don't
to
Be
talk
Cruel
about.
as an entire album is my favorite
Okay.
Bobby Brown song.
As the whole album, that's your
Yeah,
favorite.
the whole album is my favorite song.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Keep them going.
What
Keep them
about,
going.
all right, so we did the king. Must now crown the queen. Who's queen?
This isn't even a question for me. Mary J. Blige by a lot.
Yo, you're really throwing me for a loop here. I'm not. You said Mary J. Blige?
By a lot. Like by a lot. A lot.
Oh,
Okay, who did you think I was gonna say?
they just not anyone I really thought of. Like
But I
I had like
told
a
you.
few names that I'm like, okay, I'm expecting these, and then you
Who
said Mary J. Blige, and I was like,
who'd you think that I was gonna say for the Queen of R&B?
I'm biased. Beyonce is up there, even if it
She
was like,
is. She no, she's up there for sure.
you could have said Jill Scott. You could have said who was somebody else? Child. Who was somebody else? Lauren Hill.
For
You could
sure.
have said even if it was Ariana Grande, I would put her up there.
Yeah,
Um,
no,
R&B.
that's not really
That's
my
tough.
speed.
But if we're focused on like black
hmm
creators, I think those would be my like top four.
Oh yeah. See, is so
Yeah.
okay. So like my Mount Rushmore of
I'm out.
of R&B queens is four
Okay.
different pictures of Mary J. Blige.
And it was at this point, I had to walk down this way. What song? Okay, like I love it's fine, 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 fine. Like I love Mary J. Blige. Is that Mary J. Blige? That's Mary J. Blige. What about Mary and her sound? Like
Hmm.
speaks to you.
So I feel like it has a lot to do with the hip hop aspect of Mary J. Blige
Okay.
and how she incorporates R&B with hip hop. So for me, hip hop being my favorite genre and me being very, very well versed in the culture of hip hop, somebody like Mary J. Blige effortlessly like bringing those two genres together and not even making it so distinct that it's like, oh yeah, this is R&B and this is hip hop, and they just mesh so well together. I
Mm.
think that's like the main thing that separates her, like for me, from everybody else that would be a contemporary of hers.
Do I want to challenge? Do I, wanna
Feel
I do
free.
with
Let's
the hip
go.
hop, the R&B. I do. I feel that is very, unique to Mary sounds. Um,
I'll put it to you like this: if Mary J. Blige was in the verses with any of the ladies that you just named, I think Mary wiping the floor with them respectfully. Like, that just it just is what it is.
don't argue. That's why I feel like do you be getting into these arguments because people be like, "Huh, Nick,
Well,
wait."
but see, I gave you a warning in the beginning. I
I hear it
said,
now.
you know, but it's not so far off that you like. I don't see where he's coming from, but it's just not what you would think. Like to, that would be the typical answer.
Right. I think vocally she could wipe the floor. Her portfolio, though, I don't think carries.
Really?
I don't feel like it does.
Oh, I
I
see.
don't feel
See,
it.
this is
Maybe
the
I haven't gotten to my
discrepancy.
Mary bag in a while, so maybe that
Yeah,
could be the
you might need to hop in the Mary bag. I'll put it to you like this: Mary J. Blige can beat any of these people with let alone the three albums I was about to say. She could really win off one album. Like she could win a 20-song set off of one album.
I
I
gotta put, all
just
right, we're
it's
going the
just
versus route. Mary
thank you.
J.
This is all I
Blige.
wanted.
This is all I was trying not to separate because I don't like putting them like they're both of
No, for
equal value.
sure. Like it's respect.
But
Like we respect the catalogs, but
okay,
it is what it is. Let's get to the verses.
you gotta pick. It is what it is. Mary J. Blige versus Lil Kim. They're not like comparable.
I mean, Mary J. Blige, for sure.
Huh?
Mary J. Blige for sure.
Are you for real?
Like for sure. Like for sure.
Okay. Um, look him off the roster. Mary J. Blige, and let me think of somebody
All right,
else.
I'll make this easy for you. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you the two people who I think gives her the strongest challenge, and this is two people who incorporate both R&B and hip hop as well too.
Okay.
And the only people that I can even remotely say, like I can remotely say, stand a chance against Mary J. Blige in the verses is Missy Elliott
Okay.
and Janet Jackson. They're the only two. Other than that, nobody. Like,
That's fair. Those are fair contenders. That's fair. That's very fair. I think in the Missy Elliott one, Missy Elliott's taking it. And I think
and I wouldn't challenge that neither because I would have a difficult time saying, yeah, I can pick a definitive winner. I can't do that.
so I could not choose. But
I
if it's
couldn't.
Mary and Janet, and I have to like be mindful, like I do enjoy Janet's music. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a Janet Jackson kind of gal.
I
I think
see.
there are some
I
standout
respect it.
songs, but I can't say, yeah.
I respect it, but Janet is one of those. Like because like I got people that really listen to the pod that's into music for real. So
I hope they don't come at me
so that's what
now.
I'm saying. I don't want you to be looking crazy. Like,
That's just a personal thing. Like there's been points in time where I've gravitated towards Janet's music, and I think
hmm
recently in the last 2 years, like I'm like, oh, I actually do enjoy her music. I can't remember the songs off the top of my head, but like it was the same way. I caught some hate. I wasn't an Erykah Badu fan for a little bit, but I'm like, I let that go. I let that
man,
part of me go, and I was like, I appreciate it.
she's
I'm not like
amazing.
she is amazing. They're both amazing. It's just kind of like I don't know.
Okay,
Maybe say don't mind.
so who do you like then? If Mary J. Blige and Erykah Badu can't get no play in the car, like
It's weird, and not to make this like new age, but because I'm like in a new space where like I'm always listening to like different artists, like
hmm
I can go song crazy for like
hmm
a lot of different people. And it's not per se like the artist. Like if the artist, if they like Thames, for example, I
Yeah.
think she started off and she now really has like a lot of
hmm
songs I would go and listen to. But I kind of enjoy finding like little hidden gems
Yeah.
now and then that people haven't heard quite yet. Cause I'm like, I find joy in that.
No, I respect that too. Like my Spotify Discover Weekly, shouts out to that because it always gives me gems every Monday.
And Spotify is so on point. Like their algorithm, I don't know what they got in the sauce in the mix.
Yeah.
All the songs.
Spotify need to pay me for this drop. So I'm just throwing that out there, Spotify, if you want to pay it, brother. But no, it's neither here nor
That's dope. That's
there.
actually I think another person, if we're going back into like our other bags, I love jazz. I love Ella
hmm
Fitzgerald. I love Nat King Cole. I love
Yeah.
Louis Armstrong. I love what is his name? Louis Prima. Love him. Louis Armstrong. I already said Louis Armstrong.
Yeah.
But definitely those in that category.
No, here we go.
If it's rap, I intentionally listen to like a lot of female rappers because I
hmm
feel like I can get lost because I work with a lot of men all day, like listen to a lot of like J. Cole, Shmino, like Childish Gambino, Big Sean,
hmm
get lost in that space. So I like to listen to like Megan Thee Stallion. Is it Doechii? Doechii's really good.
hmm
Um, Doja Cat. Before we went mainstream. Once we went mainstream, I said Doja. I still love you. I still love you, but I have to like, remove you from that group. And who was another person? I think I'm not really a Sweetie fan.
I ain't got no comments on this. I don't listen.
You don't listen to female rap?
No. I listen to female rap. Just some of the people that you said I don't listen to.
Oh, okay. No, that's fine. I'm just naming the ones that I'm like that are really coming to mind. They spark joy for me. What's her name? Not is it Cash Doll?
hmm
all the doll names. No
As
offense.
Cash Doll, Asian Doll,
Cash Doll's the OG. So I
some
like
other dolls.
the other dolls. And I'm like, I don't know if y'all hopped on the wave when the doll was just popping, but Cash Doll's dope. Um, there is somebody else I'm forgetting, and I'm gonna be upset I forgot them. Steph London. She is that her name?
Hmm.
She's um yeah. I need to like go through my Spotify. I'm like the way I'm chunking music right now is between like my Amia playlist and then there's like my vibes, which is like all
Hmm.
beats, and then there's like gospel, 60s music. Like they're not really by artists anymore. It's just kind of like the environment that I'm in.
Nah, I feel you. I feel you. No, I mean, I just the whole music thing for me is just it's funny because so many people have opinions about it and really don't know like what they be talking about, and it burns me up inside.
Why?
Because like people really be having like the strongest opinions about like artists and really just don't know like they don't know anything. Like if you had a strong opinion about it and you knew what you was talking about and you had like real reasons to be like, all right, I don't like such and such or I don't like this or whatever, and you could really give me reasons, then I feel like, all right, that's cool. But most people would just be doing it just to be spiteful. Like,
Oh God, was it the Janet comment? Was it the
no,
Janet?
no, not
What's
you.
someone? Give me an example of like somebody who's really grinding your gears. Like, what are you talking about?
Like, okay, so I, all right. I've had this conversation on the podcast before. So I'm a really, really big Nas fan, right? And people just don't be giving Nas the credit that he deserved, especially like with a lot of his newer music, which to me he put out 4 classics in a row in the span of 2 years, and he's currently the best rapper in the world as we speak. But people don't give him credit.
That's the New York in you.
I
Not
listen,
yeah.
listen. No, I mean he is though. Like he is. Like he is. Like I just can't explain it to people who don't like listen or don't really understand it. But when people just be like, yeah, like I'm just gonna dismiss this, I'm like,
I
what
think
the?
that's a big one to just be dismissing. Like
But
I
people
heard this
do it though.
song. I would believe it. I used to be one of those people. That's why I was like, I for sure I get it. But then I took time and I listened to I listened on one mic. I was like, he's right there. Um, I don't want to compare him to like 50 Cent or like someone else,
Shouts out
but
to 50. That's I mean that's my man too.
I think he takes the cake in a lot of different like if you're gonna put him in a verses, like I think Nas is he's standard for me, gold standard.
Easily. Like I mean, and that's no disrespect to any of the other like greats or legends or anything like that. But it's just like he for some reason he's the one that like deserves the praise, but
Mm.
he just doesn't get it properly. Like and for me being like a real music fan, like this is like I listen to music all day, every day. Like there's nothing that you really can't tell me that I don't already know about music for real. Like
Mhm.
I'm like, yo, like how do y'all listen to this and not like it? Or like
He
just
said
dismiss
not
it,
like
like, or just dismiss it and be and call yourself like a real fan, like of music. This just doesn't make sense. Like I know you got ears, like I know like you have some sense of what sounds good,
right, right.
and if you don't think that sounds good, I don't know if I can trust you as a person. Like,
Now you heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. If y'all not rocking with Nas, no, Nick's not rocking with you, okay? So
that and you know what? Actually, that's kind of true. Yeah, that's kind of true. If you ain't rocking with Nas, I can't trust you, man.
it's not gonna work. But that's funny because I'm trying to think outside of comparing like artists, like what's your biggest appreciation for Nas? Like, is it his lyrical contributions to rap? Is
Hmm,
it his beat
that's a good
selection?
question.
Um,
So I would say it's the storytelling aspect of it.
mhm,
Um, I mean, obviously he's phenomenal lyrically, but it's been plenty of lyrical rappers that don't possess the ability to construct it in a way that stands the test of time. Like bars can just be bars, or you can take those bars and turn it into a profound story that stands the test of time, that relates to a variety of different people for a variety of different reasons at variety of different times in their life. And
Mm.
for Nas to have came in the game at 18, 19, and start off very, very profound with what I like to think is the greatest rap album of all time with Illmatic, and continue on year after year after year after year, decade after decade, and still be able to paint these pictures of what life is like for him growing as a person, and being able to make it relatable enough for a 24-year-old me to be like, damn, like I can see that like taking shape in my own life in a way. Or if he mentioned something that I could relate to, like when I was a kid growing up, I'm like, yo, like, how do you tell a story this way? Like, everybody can tell a story in different ways, but the way you tell a story, I think is what separates, the all-time greats versus the very good versus the pretty good to the bad.
You see the world that I'm living in, and you can like audit. I I haven't found a way to like put it into words, but like you can envision it, you
Hmm.
know, through the audio. So I have a cognitive I haven't been diagnosed with this, but it's called anesthesia, where like sound and color kind of get mixed up in my brain. So like some things really do look vivid when you're hearing it and seeing it. So I can only
Hmm.
imagine like experiencing it, and then also like just hearing the music. Like this is really resonating with me. Like this clicks because like I know this story. Like I'm living this story right now. So
I have a question for you, and I normally ask people who do music this question
mhm.
because my opinion on this has changed a little bit as time has went on. So for you, being a musician and just being a fan of music, what is more important to you for the song? Is it the lyrics or what's being said on the song, or is it the music itself?
Ooh, okay. 18-year-old Amia would have said rappers nowadays will hide behind their beats.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could be saying nonsense and the
Facts.
song slap because the beat is like really doing all the work for you. You're
Mm-hmm.
just kind of your candy. Now I see how much goes into production. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, these beats, especially people that are just building it from scratch, like that is such an attention to detail, like it's different. So I'm like, hold space for both. I think you lyrically need to be able to write if you're ever gonna be like
Mm-hmm.
songwriter, rapper. Like you can't just be, I mean, you can do trap, you can do anything that
Mm-hmm.
you want to do, but I'm gonna have to say production.
That's what I said too. So like again, before I was like, oh yeah, lyrics. Like, what do you mean? But then I really thought about it, and I thought about all of my favorite projects, and I thought about all of my favorite songs, and I was like, what's the common denominator of all of this? And the common denominator was the music is really fucking good. Like, like I could just turn the beat on and just like listen to it, and evoke like the same kind of feeling that I felt listening to the lyrics or the story that you painted, like on top of the music. I could sit there and I could be like, damn, like I'm feeling something here.
Right.
Whereas, sometimes it could just be good music and you could be saying anything. Like, I don't really give a fuck what you're saying. Like, the beat is hot, bro. Like,
They said the beat is hot. I think it's important though, lyrically, like if
it
you're
is,
in alignment with the beat,
for
like
sure.
everything is a lot smoother. So we do a lot of freestyles here. So like people that build their own beats, like I can tell you made your beat just by where you're placing your words.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're constructing it like with your mind per se. So not to take away from anyone that's just like focused on their lyrics and like provides that to music, but I'm like it's a different headspace to be in to kind of like build this sound like from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't believe I'm saying that. I would have really said lyrics. I would have really said lyrics. But I
That's why I told you it changed for me over
yeah,
time. Like I was lyrics, like lyrics, and then I'm like, oh yeah, no, the music. Like I attributed the 60% production in the music, 40% the lyrics.
okay. That's a fair split. Even the engineering like component, like
Hmm.
a solid engineer that can give you the full like
Hey, a solid engineer makes all the difference.
right. And I worked with someone, they really like Brent Faiyaz's music, and
Hmm.
I was studying his engineering, and I'm just kind of like, I don't even know how? I don't know what tools you use to like bring this to life, but like, man, did you bring it to life? Because I feel it. Like you said, it invokes that like
Mm-hmm.
emotion, that passion. And I'm trying to get creative. I'm like panning different things. I'm like, all right, if I mess with the EQ, if I manipulate this sound, like, is it gonna really give the listener like what I'm trying to build for them? So
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this. So what is your process in making music? Like when you're in the studio and you're thinking about, all right, I want to make a song and this is the beat. Like what's the process that you go through structuring what you're going to say, thinking about what you're going to say, and then putting it on the record?
that's a good question. Um, when I was younger, I could just go to the piano and just like let the music write itself. Like I would just be like la 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 la. And as I built on that capacity, I took a music theory class. So I understood more like what chords are gonna sound good as far as like progression, like training my ear in that sense. Now I think having experienced like some traumas and then also like just other communication like components, like my writing skills have like fallen off a little bit. So as I'm looking to start my production company, I'm working from home. I'm like, okay, I'm feeling inspired. These are the chords. I'm playing it on the piano. I'm putting it in my DAW system because that's part of like making the song come to life. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn how to do that recently. And I'm using FL Studios for anyone that's
Okay.
out here engineering. So I'll build the beat on FL Studios. Um, as far as producing on FL, since I am new to it, like there are times where I'm just like, just push the idea out, just get it on paper. You don't like it, you can change it. Like if it's not flowing as far as like sound composition, like I have four chords that are reminding me of my melody. So like I'm gonna use this as my hook. I might move it. I might build the percussion instruments around it. I
Mm-hmm.
might I had to get a little flexible. So I like to approach it like it's clay. The best way
Mm-hmm.
someone told me like don't limit yourself as far as your creative like endeavors, even if it's not like what you initially started doing or what you intended to do. Allow it to transform and become something else because maybe that's what it was meant to be. So on a computer that's a lot easier. I feel like you can make as many edits or as many drafts as you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
There's a song I'm currently working on where I didn't produce this beat, but someone sent me a beat. So I'm like writing to it. I'm like, yeah, like this is what I hear. And then he sends me his part. And I'm like, we should put this other person on it. And the next thing you know, I send that to the artist. It comes back completely different. And I'm just kind of like, you have to allow that type of flow and process to take place because it's just like, this is this is the new idea.
Mm-hmm.
I try not to get stuck. Hopefully, I'm answering your question because
No, you
it's
are.
evolved over time. And I think as I've changed as a person, like I've realized the best way for me to record isn't like in the moment as the
Mm-hmm.
ideas come to me. It's like, okay, let's come back to the studio one day, do some finished vocals. But like as of right now, these are the words that are speaking to me. Let me put these on my notes, capture it the best way I can, and then we'll take it to like another step in production, which is like the final draft. So I usually let the demo sit with me for at least a week. I think a
Damn.
month is now where I'm at because
A month?
sometimes I digest it. And this
Wow.
is me. That's when I'm like it's personal because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, like I mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm trying to get out of that. I'm trying to be a little bit more like obedient. Like if a song comes to you, you feel inspired, like go finish that one song, tee it up, put it out. And I work with artists that can do that. Like they'll come into the studio, we'll get a song done in the day. And I'll be like, oh, that's great. My flow, my process right now is like, this is the chorus. I wrote a verse. Let me sit with that. And then if I find a second verse, or if I feel like someone else would bless the song, I'm like reaching out to them, like trying to set that up. But if you're still looking for beats on YouTube, I don't want to forget anyone. Also use that as a way to like songwrite and start to understand like what your sound is before you can like have someone produce for you. Because I think even going through sound selection at this like stage of my life of learning how to produce, I've
Mm-hmm.
recognized what catches my ear and what I like. So the more you can study about yourself as far as like beats online, what those producers are doing well, or like what other artists are doing well, that also helps.
Okay, so like what kind of sounds or like what kind of vibes catch your ear at the moment?
Right. And if it stands out to you, like people would always ask me like, oh, what type of music do you make? And I'm like, I don't know, but I like this type of sound. I like this type of sound. Like it started very basic. I'm like, okay, this person is marketing like this. Um, what's a good I don't want to say J. Cole type beat, but like what catches my eye, like Tem type beats, like
Hmm.
Leo, this person type beats. Like I started to kind of like pick apart like the things that I enjoy. So hopefully that answers your question.
Oh yeah,
I'm
listen, I
trying to get
told
it
you.
like this happened in stages. Like, I started pretty young. I think I got my piano set when I was like 10,
Mm,
11, 10, 11, 12, around there. And I've been doing this. I'm now like 24. So I'm like, for 24 years worth of experience, like I definitely focused on singing a lot more. So I feel like that's my strongest. Producing, I would love to be a full-time producer because
hmm.
that's where the magic happens. And then once you can engineer, it's just like you're turning your craft into a science. Like you just mixing concoctions. Like I like this, play with that. Let's do this. You like that? Okay. That's what
I ain't gonna hold that. That like just thinking about that, like as a music lover, like I feel like if that was something that I did, I would drive myself literally insane.
how
Because
so?
because I would be listening for like so many different things, and then I think I would turn into like what you said, like a perfectionist. Like, yo, even though this shit sounds good, like I could flip this another way, or I could. It would just be so much that I would just be thinking about that I wouldn't even let my music breathe or even come out for other people to listen to it. Like I would just be in there creating like a mad scientist.
It's challenging. I mean, not everything you make is meant to go, to the marketplace. So like
For
I've made
sure.
songs that just they don't need to be heard. I needed to hear it, but like other
Hmm.
people, I'm not trying to market it as like my best song. So even if that does happen, I think allowing yourself to explore is like the fun part. And I'm working on a song now with an artist, and it's like we sat down with the engineer, we're like listening to it. We're so meticulous now. We're like, do we need to turn up the harmonies like this and then like turn this out? I'm like, honestly, I don't think anyone would know if we did
But
or
that's
if
what
we
I'm saying. Like
didn't.
I would be that guy. Like, do we
Yeah,
got to
but
do this, that, and the third? Like, nah, it's too much for me to even think about now, let alone me actually doing the shit.
Mhm. But it's something even in like you telling me about like your podcasting and
Hmm.
like how you have your like on the back end the things that have to happen for your
Hmm.
podcast to come out smoothly. Like that's how the production pipeline is. Like you start to see what sound selections you like. You make beat packs, you like have different things. So when the time comes, it's like, okay, I already know what I like.
Hmm.
And these are the things that are going to make it easier for me to do it.
Okay. Real quick, are you good on time?
I think we're nearing the time I got. Yeah. Oh, actually, let me. Sorry, guys. I do have a life in my little.
You got some other obligations.
Oh, she's done at 10. I probably have like 20 more minutes, 30 more minutes.
All right, cool. All right, so look, so we just gonna take another little quick intermission, and then we'll be right back. That's cool.
That's cool. We really down another 40 minutes.
Yeah, we going through it. All
Okay.
right.
I'm
Well, ladies
here.
and gentlemen, we will be right back with more of the HolloTalk podcast in a few. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the HolloTalk podcast with your man Jetpack Nick and Miss Amia Boone.
Hey,
Yeah,
y'all.
so we was talking a little bit, in between the little breaky break, and I'm just gonna get a floor to you. It's some questions you want to ask your boy.
The breakity break. I like that. The breakity break. I was interested. Nick has mentioned to me a few times, several times, that he has a passion for music. And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And I know I hear it. I'm like, I feel like you're ready for the next step as far as putting out music, experimenting with your sound, what you like, what you don't like. I just kind of want to hear where you're at. And I know you've been only doing it for 3 weeks. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
just
yeah,
kind of like,
yeah. Well. All right,
yeah, I'm like, I know it's not
I
three
got it.
weeks.
I gotta get. All right. I'm gonna be truthful on the pod.
There it is. Okay.
So I've only been recording for 3 weeks, but I've been doing this for a long time. Like any song that I listen to, like whether they rapping or I'm listening to an instrumental, I'm rapping over it for sure. So I just decided, like, all right, let me actually put these words down on something and see if I can flesh it out. Cause I feel like I was saying some hot shit, like I was. I'm saying some hot shit. So I'm like, now let me like write this down real quick and like flesh it, like flesh it out a little bit and see if I could like expound upon these things that I'm saying or create stories behind whatever. And that's where the 3 weeks comes in. I've been doing that for 3 weeks. I've been fleshing out the things that I've been saying over the songs I've been listening to my entire life.
So my entire life. Are these beats you're finding on YouTube? Are you working with producers? Like what's that?
So a really good friend of mine's he's been on the podcast too, the people know. Shouts out to my man Mark. He's a beat maker. So he has a few beats that he made, and I'm I put something on him. I put something on him, so shouts out to my boy Mark. Do I want to get it exclusive now, or do I want to wait? Hmm.
Oh,
I'm gonna let you decide. Should I get it exclusive now, or should I wait?
now I would be honored. I would be honored. But I respect your cadence if you're not trying to
No, I mean,
last right
I
now.
mean, the people that found out that your boy got some rounds, on the horizon.
I already
So
knew you had skill. I feel like we were waiting for you to stop playing like, no, I'm just a fan. I'm
yeah,
like,
I had to play the background role for a second. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to let everybody else shine for their time
yeah,
being, but
we're here
you know,
for you now.
you know what I'm saying?
Podcast,
So
drop some bars for us real quick.
I mean, all right. I give you the exclusive. You know what I'm saying? So for the people who know, if you know, you know, I have the hollow tape out. It's a mixtape of a lot of the artists that came on the HolloTalk podcast. I wanted to, just give a salute to them and, big up what they do as far as, music that they make and let people hear it through my platform. So we're coming out with a second one, the holotape 2. So the whole idea behind this one was the same concept, but I said, let me put some bars on this motherfucker. Y'all will definitely be hearing the talents of Jetpack Nick on the holotape 2.
Hey,
Yeah,
so Holotape 1 was unlike the artist you had on your show, and
yeah.
Holotape 2 is gonna have the host.
I mean, it's going to feature me a little bit. Like, it's not going to be all me, but it's going to be some of me. All right, But I definitely got space still for any of the other musicians that have come on the podcast. If you guys want to let me know if you want to put something on the tape, let me know. Um, I just felt like it was my time to step in the booth for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Show the people what I could do. Like, shouts out to all the people that make music. I just felt like I know enough about music, and I think I'm nice with the lyrics to want to try it. So this is my attempt. So hopefully, y'all like it. You know what I'm saying? I'll put it together.
Yeah,
Only been 3 weeks to this point, so
there's all.
I
Oh,
said, please be nice to me, please, because if not, I'm dissing you on Holotape 3.
dang, it's like that. He said, "I'm going straight for this rap. Like, don't disrespect me now, because I'm gonna come up your neck." That's crazy. Holotape 3 in the works, though. That'd be.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I feel like I trust a lot of your opinions. I mean, the Janet one and Mary J. Blige were a little questionable, but no, I'm just playing. I trust your opinions, and I think that anything you put out is gonna sound amazing. So
thank you for
don't
that.
sell yourself short. You know you capable.
Appreciate that. No, and not for nothing, just if you would like for me to say this on the public platform, but since you do music, you are definitely more than welcome to have a slot on Holotape 2 if you would like it.
I would, but
All right.
something I'm gonna give you something exclusive. That's
Here we go.
that's the word. We keeping it exclusive.
Y'all ready?
Something that hasn't dropped yet. I'm like, let me
Talk to me.
see if the people like it. Yeah, I'm about to be in a band. Shout out to my.
What?
I know.
A band?
Yeah, we out here like the Fugees. Yeah.
A band?
Oh,
Oh man.
I only
How many members?
three.
Oh,
So it's two artists I'm working with. And it just kind of like happened. That's why I'm like, one, I'm just saying names. Like Jamil, he's someone I'm
mm-hmm,
right now. His artist name is oh my gosh, not Dottie. What is his artist name? Jiggy Miliano.
mm-hmm,
Sorry. So he comes into the studio. He's like, yeah, I have this song. I'm like, okay, Jamil, like, let's go through it. Like, I'm being the engineer at this point,
mm-hmm,
like more focused on putting out their music. So he's singing. Next thing you know, his friend Lloyd is there. He's from New York. He's coming
mm-hmm.
traveling to work with us. His artist name is Dottie. And I'm like, oh, y'all should put out a project together. And they're like, oh, can you do some background vocals? Next thing you know, we got like 3 songs together. I'm like, are we bands? Is this what's taking shape? But it was really fun because that's part of like just allowing like what is already going to happen because
Yeah.
I was blessed to have them there to just really hone in on my engineering skills. But then I'm like, if I can add value and like sing on your song, I would love to. So I'm really excited. That'll be something I sent to you because I'm like, that hasn't
All right.
been distributed anywhere. And I kind of want to get a read. We have gotten really great feedback on like 3 of the songs. I'm like,
Oh,
yeah,
well,
do this.
from I'll tell the people and I'll tell you. I might have actually told you already, but I did get a chance to check out a couple of your songs, and I, they was on repeat. They was for sure. They was really really good.
My 2 songs. Yeah, I'm sorry. If you're listening and you've been following my music career, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just want to say it's taken so long because I put 2 singles out. I'm like, I feel so accomplished. And then I took like a 2-year hiatus, which was needed. However, after the last Rec Talk series we had with DJ Val Fleur,
Mm-hmm. Val Fleur, yeah.
Val Fleur, she
Shouts
like
out to Val
really
Fleur.
inspired me. Yeah, shout out to her. She was like, that 3-year break is like a necessary time
Mm-hmm.
frame to really hone in on like why you want to do this and who you
Yeah,
are for. So definitely took time to do that. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you.
absolutely. Listen, like
So yeah.
I'm not one of them people that's like I'm just gonna tell you good just because I know you. Like,
No, that's what I'm saying. I appreciate it. I'm like, oh, thank you.
you
It's
know,
sincere, very genuine.
no, for real. I mean, it really was though. Because and the funny thing was, I wasn't gonna tell you this, but I'll tell you it now. So the funny thing was, I was listening to it and I'm like, I got some bars for this shit.
He going right over to me. He's like, wait, let me hop on the track.
I did. I'm like, cause now that I'm like giving it a go, like just just to do something else creatively. It's like now I can't stop. I'm like everything I hear, I'm like I'm writing to this, like everything.
I'm about to start
It's
sending you beats. If that's where we're at, I'm about to be like,
I
Nick,
listen.
hop on this boat. Let's
We
see where we yeah,
outside.
with it. That's crazy. That's dope.
No, I think it's gonna be fun though. Like it's been fun just going through the process of recording myself. Um, it's it's been a little easier than I thought it would be. Creating, but I think that's because I already had it like in mind. It's just
Mhm.
now me actually like pushing it out and now fleshing it out to make it a complete thing instead of it just being a bunch of words or a bunch of ideas that I would just throw out there. Now I could take these ideas, actually write them down, and now flesh out an entire story or like flesh out an entire feeling, if you will.
Ooh. I won't be
Yeah.
surprised if like the next season 6 all freestyles. Like man went crazy with the
I mean,
like,
I got all right. See, damn, I don't even know if I should
I'm
be
just doing that.
saying all this.
He's wait, okay,
All
wait.
right,
Gotta keep the people on.
all right. But all right. Let's just say, let's just say, let's all right. Let's just say I did my thing on the joint. Like I ain't gonna give y'all too much, but just know I put it together real nice. All right. And I'm not being cocky and nothing like that. I just personally like because I know what my taste is and I know what my expectation is when I listen to certain music.
Mm,
So if I'm impressing myself with my own shit, I'm like, oh yeah, like
so
yeah,
it's there. It's
yeah,
there. The meat is there.
yeah. Because like the stuff I was writing, it's like if I heard any of my like favorite artists say what I wrote, I would be like, damn, like, man, you talking like that?
We got an icon in the making, everybody. In the making. Y'all getting the pre before it pops. Like it's coming.
No, but it's been fun though. Like I never thought to do it as like a career or anything like that. I just know that there's something that I really have a passion for, just music in general. And every part of music, whether that's, being a fan, being a creator, being a observer, being a maker of music, whether that's recording my own vocals or making the beats or whatever. I always wanted to get into it in some way. Never as a career, but I just always had to put my hand in it somewhere to kind of put my musical expertise on it, just to see if I could add on to what I like.
Right. And you have like all the necessary ingredients. So I think even if it's not a full-time rap career, like you can still make something beautiful
Yeah, it was just for the
somebody
fun of
else.
it. It
Like
was just for the fun of it.
yeah. I'm excited. I'm really excited. I think not to throw Will Tom's back in this, but I think he works on music, right?
uh, he I think Will did marketing for music. I don't know if he like worked directly with like creating music, but I know he did marketing though for some music
Feel like we all got
artists.
that. And I like that because even if you're not like on the center stage as the artist, like I remind myself all the time, like I might not be the artist. I might be
Mm-hmm.
the behind the scenes, music.
Which I don't mind being, but
Yeah, you don't
you
mind.
know,
That's something that's more up your alley, but it's nice to experiment, child.
yeah,
And
you know,
allowing ourselves to be creative. See, I'm
it,
taking a lot
it's full
away.
circle.
I see it. Yes, the
you
pieces
know,
coming together. Yeah.
exactly. But like for me though, like it was definitely something that like has helped me a little bit, just be more in tune with my creativity and be more in tune with expanding my mind when it comes to how I digest the entertainment that I digest, whether that's watching videos or
Mm,
listening to music or listening to the way certain people say certain things or the word choices that they use in their songs. All those things have been like expanded in my mind now that I'm actually attempting to do what I've been listening to this entire time.
I love that. And I might be ready to jump the gun,
Oh shit.
but that was in alignment with one of my three gems. But I want
Ah,
to
okay.
I want
I mean, listen, we could get to that unless you want to keep the conversation going. It's up to you.
is in that ballpark. I think, like you said, like when you focus on what you're consuming, like being
Mm-hmm.
intentional about that, because like what you put in is what's gonna come out.
Mm-hmm.
So if you really want to like put out some heavy hitters about like social awareness music, you should be listening to
Yeah.
like politics, political things, like really staying informed in those loops, not just watching TikToks.
Mm-hmm.
I think that kind of if you're working on your brand, that's going to dilute your brand because that's all you know right now. That's all you're aware of. So that was one of my one things, like be very intentional with what you listen to, with what you put out. Like it should always represent guess not just who you are, but like who you want to become, like who
Mm-hmm.
what you want to embody.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Cause like just writing some of the songs that I've written, like I was just making stories. Like I was just thinking of things that sounded interesting to me and things that I just thought were intriguing to hear about. Now,
Mhm.
again, I tell people this too. Like, nothing that we do creatively is new under the sun. Like, there's nothing that we can do that's going to be new that nobody has ever did before. So when I was writing these stories, um, it was more so of a how can I tell these stories in my own way that makes sense to me, but also is fresh for a new listener. And I think I was able to accomplish that with the few joints that I've wrote and recorded so far.
Mm.
But again, we'll see when other people hear it. Now, a couple people did hear it, and it was like, "Damn, like I
It's
like
all
this, I like this shit." But it was more so like a lot of the stuff that I wrote, like I kind of had to explain like what I was saying. when it came to the lyrics that I was writing, because my interests are very broad. Like I'm really interested in a lot of different things. So I was able to take away like those different things from those interests that people might not be interested in. So it's like a if you know you know kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I had to like explain like this is what I meant when I said this. So like damn now when they get it, they're like, oh, okay.
I agree. We did the first cut. And with that, oh, there was one thing you shared. I was going back to like, oh, there's nothing new under the sun.
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree with that statement. I think it's very unique that you're going to be the one and only Nick
Mm-hmm.
to ever walk this earth. Jetpack Nick.
All right,
Like,
shouts out to me.
out to you. That's like, you gotta put yourself up there because there's gonna be another you. So like that's something that is new under the sun. Like you're bringing people that fresh perspective on like
Mm-hmm.
what you're interested in, what you like. And I think when we do water down ourselves, like especially in our craft, like you try and copy what this person is doing,
Yeah.
copy their recipe. Like, no, baby, like you have all the same ingredients everybody else got. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what makes you special? Like, bring that to life.
So okay, so that actually leads me to an interesting question. I feel like you're gonna say, "Ooh, that's a good question." After I ask you this, but with that being said, right? Like, how do you take inspiration from other artists that you listen to? Whether and it could be anything, like listen to, watch on TV, or whatever you take inspiration from. How do you take that inspiration and create your own without saying like you're stealing from this person or you're trying to copy this person, just making that inspiration your own? How do you do that?
Hmm.
That's a good question. Go ahead. You can say
I hope you're okay. The song, my first song on Spotify, I feel like
hmm
I'll use that as an example. I'm gonna have you guess. I'm gonna ask you a question in return. What
Okay.
song do you think inspired that song? Let's see if your ear can like
What inspired that song?
because there is a song I use as a reference, like a template, and I was like, I really like.
Hmm. Okay.
I'll give
Let
you
me
a hint.
let me ask this before you even give me a hint. Is
Hmm.
is it is it what was the inspiration? Was it the lyrics that you were saying or was it the music that you was inspired by?
Um, it was a series of events. So I was out at a
Okay.
club with someone like a significant other, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, this song is hitting my spirit like when I think of you. And this person just sent me a beat, and I feel like, yeah, like I can lock in on this moment and recreate this in my song. Like
Okay. Oh, okay. So what's the hint?
the hint, she is a female award-winning artist,
That could be
Black
anybody.
woman.
This that could also be anybody. uh hip hop, R&B, with
R&B,
R&B,
R&B pop.
R&B pop. Okay, that makes sense.
It could be a
Wait,
mix. That's why I'm like, my inspiration.
what decade? 90s, 80s,
80s,
2000s, 80s.
That's the cover art was we were trying to come up with like a 80s like thriller
Okay.
type of look.
If I had to guess,
Mhm. If anyone doesn't know this song, Emperor's New Groove on Spotify, go check it out.
yeah, go check that out. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
All
But
right,
don't try to
if I
like
had to guess, let me
if you
see.
could dissect it and pick it apart, like what song do you think was like
I don't know the song. Okay, I'm gonna just say because the only person I can think of offhand is Whitney Houston.
you're on it. You're on
Okay.
that wave.
All right. All right.
Yeah, you're on it. That's on like she inspired it. I wanna dance with somebody.
All right. Okay. All right. All right. See, you see what I'm saying?
That baseline.
You
Yep.
see what I mean? I'm nice.
Right here, that's what I'm saying. You don't play with your potential now. Like I know, but that's how I lead with like the inspiration. Like you can't, as far as like copywriting and music, like there are
Mm,
certain things that you can't like take.
right. Right.
We're not trying to get sued by
Mm-mm,
people's needs. But if you use it as like a guideline, I think it's a
mm-hmm,
nice way to like track out the song. Like I hear what this person did with this. I like this. I don't like this. And like this is more true to who I am.
right.
So that's just how it's gonna sound. And unless I led with that, like people aren't gonna automatically assume like Whitney Houston
Mm-hmm,
this song, unless you did something wrong. If you're like stealing someone's flow, then that's a
right.
completely different story. But even when you're like playing something on the radio, your ear tends to like catch things that it's heard before. So I like to mix that into my song. So I'm like, okay, I like the way Beyonce did this vocal run.
Hmm.
Can I hit that vocal run in the same way she does it in the same manner? Most likely not. It's gonna still sound like my voice, and I want it to, but like I'm gonna use this a little bit. I'm gonna sing it the way I would say it, and then I'm also gonna like ground it. What's an example? Today I was working on a beat, and I'm like, oh, this reminds me of like Beyonce Partition, but the artist I'm working with was thinking of like Big Sean and Janae. Oh, how I
Janae Aiko. Yeah.
go.
Hmm.
I'm like, I say the song that I know. So I'm like, I'm using these two reference tracks to like keep me grounded and moving in the right direction
Hmm.
and in alignment. But like it's just a helpful like frame of reference. So
Okay.
even with producing, like we'll sit in the studio and be like, okay, I like how this genre of music like brings out these engineering qualities. And I like that this producer uses this type of sound selection. So you're kind of just like finding your ingredients for your mix. And you're like, okay, this is what I want. And then you start
Yeah. Yeah, cause like just me thinking about it now that you even just mentioned all of that, like when I was in the process of writing and then practicing the way I would say it on the track, like I felt like I was doing so many different things. Like the words would stay the same, but the way I would say certain things, vocal inflections, the speed in which I would say something, if I need to slow it down or speed it up, like all of those things were things that I just thought about. Like, how in the hell do people just like stick to this one thing, knowing that you could do it so many other ways?
so many. And you're constantly evolving. That's why I'm like, when I always challenge like any artist I work with. If I hear you getting caught in the same flow, I'm like, let's break out of that.
For
Because
sure.
you have so much more potential if you just find like another, thing that catches your ear, like just try it. If you miss it, you miss it. But hey, you're gonna miss it if you don't try it. So that's important. And anytime you hear a freestyle online, it's like they got like 4, 5, 6 different flows in there. Like we're not listening to rap for like that
Yeah. I,
repetitiveness.
I definitely think I tried to do that too, but it wasn't even like knowingly that I was like playing with different flows like that. It's just the way that I wrote the words, and then when I would perform it, I'm like, hmm, this is different than what I just said on verse one, and then damn, this is different what I said on verse two and verse three. Like it was just dope to see like that take its natural course and not it be like a intended thing like, oh, I want to sound like this flow and I'm gonna write like this. I was just literally writing shit that rhyme together and it just happened to turn out that way. So I think, just like knowing that I've only been recording for like a short amount of time, I think people who really really know the intricacies of music and what goes into how you write or how you perform certain ways, I think it'll be an appreciated thing once they hear me on record. Now, not for nothing, I might need to get it like actually, professionally engineered or whatever, but don't worry about it. It's my first couple tracks, so it's gonna be some rough cuts.
If you want to go for the raw, that's tough. I appreciate that. I'll go back to my old SoundCloud days and be like, girl, we've grown. But the rawness is like you were still like figuring it out. And I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Okay, so I know you got to get out of there. I know you do.
You got no, I'm saying.
So before we even get to the end of everything, do you got any questions you want to ask me or anything you want to say?
I'm excited for the exclusive cut, the HolloTape 2.
Hmm.
Y'all, I don't know if you can set reminders on Instagram, but we're gonna be setting reminders. Y'all gonna see this drop, okay? I'm telling you, it's gonna be worth the wait. So I'm excited. If you need any help as far as music, you already know I'm
Yep.
here. Anyone else, if they're interested in like production, engineering, working with vocalists, rappers, you can email me. My email is smooth, SMOOTH Boone, BOONE, productions at gmail.com. That's the best way to contact me. And my Instagram for my artistry is 24 TWENTY number 4 _ notes.
And
So
just still rapping and rhyming. I see.
Don't look up. Probably never hear.
All
But
right.
I'm
Okay.
excited. I hope I can help anybody that's listening.
Yeah,
So, thank you, Nick, for allowing me to be on your show.
absolutely.
Truly enjoyed myself. Oh, we
Absolutely.
really talk. I thought we were gonna do this for like an hour.
Nah, two hours. Hold on, time out though. But before we go, like,
Mhm.
did you give your three gems? Because you know that's customary to the HolloTalk podcast. You got
I
to get
hit
it three
one.
gems. Oh, all
I
right.
hit
Well, what's
one.
the other two then? What's the other two?
Be intentional. That's my
That's the
first
first
one.
one.
Anything and everything you do, be intentional with how you spend your time, your money, your listening tastes, anything that goes in you, be intentional
Mm-hmm.
or comes out. My next one is to let's say really take some time to like focus on I don't just say you're poor, but like who you want to be as an artist. I think like that's an important package. It's easy to kind of like sell that in a sense, like you're signing contracts, like other people are gonna market you, but like really know who you are at your core. So you never lose sight of that. Um, and my third gem, what is my third gem gonna
There's so
be?
many to choose from. We
I'm
talked
gonna rush
about
to
a
the
lot.
second one. I do like the second. Okay. If we're backtracking, hmm. Oh, let's go with the exclusive. Not
Okay.
everybody's gonna get it, and not everybody's supposed to get it. So like
Mm-hmm.
people that do get it, like that's important. I think like if you know, like
Mm-hmm.
some things like kind of like below the surface. Like if people want to know more, they'll come to you and allow those people to be like your core fan base too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't gotta be for everybody. If you send it to your auntie and she don't like it, it's not for her, and that's okay. But like the people who it's for, like it'll catch their ears and they'll want to know more. So I think if you stress yourself too much about like the naysayers, the haters, or the people that don't click with it, you'll be causing yourself too much grief. So that is my
Yes,
third.
that's your three gems. All right. Well, Amia, I thank you so much for coming on the How Talk podcast and talking to me. I had a blast. I hope you enjoyed yourself as well. I want to always thank the How Talk podcast listeners and supporters for supporting us through and through. Please go support our guest, Miss Amia Boone, 24 Notes.
Thank you.
You know, it's all love from me to
Listening.
you always.
Mhm.
Just keep doing your thing, and like you know, I'm here, so I'm always watching.
You right here, always watching. We right here with
Yeah,
it.
I'm always
Next time
watching.
you're at rec, we'll definitely have to do this in person.
All right, that's a bet.
Looking forward to it.
All right, well, we gonna sign out. I know you gotta go, so we gonna peace out. It's peace and love to all of y'all, and thank you again.
All right. Thanks, Nick.